to I suppose, the second part of that question, which is also from Shannon.
Yeah.
Why didn't God warn Adam and Eve of the serpent?
Why didn't God warn Adam and Eve of the serpent? Well, I guess at that stage, when the serpent is a beast of the field, what God did do, however, is he gave Adam his commandment. Remember, there was only one, not 10. And multiply that by 10, then we get to Moses, okay? And then multiply that by another, 100, when we get to the Jews who come up with about, I think it's about 600 odd laws or commandments that they actually follow. And interestingly enough, and this is fascinating, then secular man throws out the 10 commandments of God, and now we have millions and millions of laws that we need to follow. So in order to try and keep mankind into some sort of control where God only needed essentially 10, and if we would follow those 10, we'd be doing pretty well as a society. But God gave Adam the commandment that he could eat of the fruit of any tree that's in the field. The serpent itself would have had no power whatsoever over man if man had chosen to believe God rather than the serpent, and especially rather than himself. Okay, because ultimately at the end of that, man becomes the arbiter of truth. You remember that?
Yeah.
So when you look at chapter 3 in Genesis, and the question that was asked, in chapter 2 is where we have God commanding the man. Now, Eve wasn't created at this stage. God had commanded the man, and he said that the man, thou shalt eat of every tree that's here, but not of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. In the day you eat thereof, you shall surely die, is what he says. But here, instead, the serpent makes the claim halfway through verse 1, and he says, Yea, hath God said, Ye shall not eat of every tree in the garden? So straight away you have that, by bringing up the very question, you have that creation of doubt, right? And immediately the woman responds, she said unto the serpent, We may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, God hath said, Ye shall not eat of it, neither shall ye touch it, lest ye die. I get so many things that are here. Number one, she didn't hear that directly from God, she heard that from Adam. So Adam gave her the commandment that was given from God. Listen, Eve, one commandment you got, one commandment only. We can live perfectly in this garden, but that tree, that one over there in the midst of the garden, is the tree of knowledge. You can eat fruit from all of the other trees, but not that one. And no doubt he would have probably put some sort of religion in there. Matter of fact, don't even touch it. Don't even touch it. Let's put a fence around it so we don't even touch the tree. Right? So Eve naturally adds to the word of God by making the statement about touching it.
So would you say that this tree was placed in the garden because they had free will, and that was to demonstrate that you are free, like you've got free will to obey me or to disobey me? Would you say that's why the tree was in the garden?
It's really hard to know why the tree was in the garden. I guess yes, that could be an answer. But in answer to Shannon's question, first of all, God didn't need to warn Adam and Eve with regards to the beguiling nature of the serpent. God only needed to give his one command and expect man to follow it. Understand what had happened here, whereas you read through with this passage, after the woman speaks, the serpent said unto the woman, Ye shall not surely die. So immediately you have a direct denial of what God had said. God had said, if you eat of that tree, you shall surely die. Eve said, lest you die, don't even touch it lest you die, unless you're going to die. And then immediately Satan denies God's own words. He said, Ye shall not surely die. And then he goes on, For God doth know that in the day ye eat thereof, your eyes shall be opened, ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. So now you have an opportunity to be just like God, right? That same deception has now passed on through history to even today, where people would even refer to themselves as gods. They lift themselves up on high. I remember the old movie with Shirley MacLaine and her running along the beach going, I am, I am.
I was about to make a comment about the I am.
Yeah.
There's a lot of I am statements
A
now.
lot of I am statements, and this is man claiming that he is as God or God. But when he goes on, notice that she then, the woman, saw that the tree was good for food, that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree to be desired to make one wise. She took of the fruit thereof and did eat, and gave also unto her husband with her, and he did eat. Every indication here shows that Adam was with his wife when the serpent was beguiling her and never stepped in. Never stepped in, never corrected her, never protected her. He was just as guilty of that sin. Matter of fact, he was probably guilty of not being the proper supportive husband that he needed to be and correct her statements and correct the serpent. Again, no need to warn them about the serpent. Every way to expect man, perfect creature that he was, even though with a free will, to obey God. He should have obeyed God. There's one commandment, for crying out loud. It's not like, it wasn't like a whole list of them. It was just the one.
We wouldn't have all the laws we have now if that.
No, if they had obeyed that one, we wouldn't have all the laws.
Yeah.
That's it. That's it.
Okay.
So I hope that one helps for Shannon.
It answered some questions for me too. Which
Oh,
is
good. All right, cool.
Okay. And we'll move on to the next one
Yep.
here, which is also from Shannon, but different subject altogether.